Georgetown, and I think this is the focus of your top 25-1 on Wednesday morning. Georgetown loses again, 70-63 at home, Seton Hall. It's now 0-8. Georgetown, I think when it got to 0-5, it had never been 0-5 in Big East play. And if it wasn't 0-5, it was 100% it had never been 0-6 in Big East play. Now it's 0-8. Next game will come Thursday night at home against the slumping St. John's team. Maybe the Hoyas can get off the schneid there. I tweeted it on Tuesday. I honestly, truly never thought I would see the day where the Georgetown Hoyas were 0-8 in Big East play. So I ask you, A, your thoughts on the state of this program, and 2, I think we would agree that Georgetown is not going to fire Patrick Ewing. But do you think we are now headed toward a situation where Ewing resigns for the betterment of his alma mater and Georgetown winds up opening when we get to March?
It has to be on the table. Like, Georgetown is a complex place, and it's always it's never easy to guess how they might handle any situation, but it is going terribly. I actually wrote about it in the Dribble Handoff. Our question this week was coaches on the hot seat. And I decided to write about Patrick Ewing because, as I wrote, I grew up in the early 80s, and the two sports I attached to earliest were baseball and college basketball. So Patrick Ewing is literally one of the first larger-than-life sports figures I can remember. He was so awesome at Georgetown. And so when the Georgetown job opened and he was a candidate and he got the job, I can't tell you that I knew it would work because I'm done telling you I'm sure anything's going to work. I'll never do that again. I'll never.
All right, let's just loop back around 6 weeks. Let's see let's see where we're at.
Okay, unless it's Rick Pitino. Rick Pitino's Rick Pitino's the only thing I'll say works. After that, I'll just say, hey, I think it'll work, but I've been wrong before. So I couldn't tell you I knew it would work, but I can tell you I hoped it would work. Because I just think Georgetown being relevant in basketball is important. That's one of the biggest brands in the history of the sport. I knew of Georgetown as a child. I didn't know it was a great academic institution. I didn't know anything other than that place got an awesome basketball team year after year after year. And so I hoped this Patrick Ewing thing would work because I just think college basketball is better when Georgetown matters. And then I hoped it would work because I thought it would be cool, for lack of a better word, to watch Patrick Ewing lead Georgetown back to a place of prominence. And what I noticed a few weeks ago is that, because Patrick hasn't enrolled the number 1 recruiting class in 2 of the past 3 years, or had a preseason top 15 ranking, or cussed out the local media, told a columnist to stop asking stupid effing questions, nationally, people just don't pay attention to it too much. But, and they don't talk about it as much as the Memphis program under Penny Hardaway has been talked about. But if you're doing an honest assessment of things, and Memphis is an absolute circus. Don't even get me started. More reports last night that
I will not get you started.
That are just weird. But low key, Patrick Ewing at Georgetown is much more of a thing that's not going well than Penny Hardaway at Memphis. They're now 6-13 overall this season, 0-8 in the Big East. They're at risk of going winless in the Big East. And if they did that, trivia time.
Fire it at me.
If Georgetown goes winless in the Big East, which is very much on the table.
DePaul.
What year?
I'm just pulling it out of a hat. I'm going to say 12-13.
2009. Reddit put that down as an incorrect answer from Deadleg. So now Georgetown is 68-72 overall, 26-52 in Big East games under Patrick Ewing. They're on an 8-game losing streak, and they're about to finish 8th or worse in the Big East for the fourth time in 5 years. So the question you asked me is, do they have to do something about Patrick Ewing at the end of this year, whatever that looks like? And I'll say, again, I don't know, because he's Patrick Ewing. The same way Memphis has to handle things differently because it's Penny Hardaway, I think Georgetown has to handle things differently than it's Patrick Ewing. We can both agree, I think we can both agree, if this dude's name was John Smith instead of Patrick Ewing, it'd be over with, not even a chance of survival of getting a 6th year.
Agreed. This is how. Yeah,
but it is Patrick Ewing. And that has to be taken into consideration. You want to give him every opportunity to succeed. But how about this? The previous coach was John Thompson's son.
Mm-hmm.
And they fired him for less or pushed him out for less. JT3 made the NCAA tournament in 8 of his first 11 seasons. Went to the Final Four in year 3. And then, went to the Final Four in year 3. 8 NCAA tournaments, first 11 seasons. And then missed it, finished 8th in the Big East in year 12. Missed the NCAA tournament again in year 13, finished 9th in the Big East, and that was that. So let me ask you this.
Yep.
If you move on from Big John's kid, from missing the NCAA tournament a total of 5 times in 13 years, how do you keep anybody, even Patrick, after he misses it 4 times in 5 years and only made it the one time because of an auto bid? That team wasn't good either. Let me put it this way. JT3 finished 8th or worse in the Big East 4 times in 13 seasons. Patrick's about to do it 4 times in 5 seasons.
Yeah, I think that we're just about there in terms of needing to have a change. If it keeps going this way, I don't see why they should continue on with this. When Ewing was hired, it became official the day of the title game in 2017. I remember, hurriedly writing a column from my hotel room in Phoenix. This is the end graph here. I wrote, but I can't say it's a great call or a bad call. I can't say that Ewing, now 54, has earned the right to try. In that regard, there's no better place to start because he has no softer place to lose. Pause real quick. I'm writing this because Ewing tried for so long to get a head coaching job in the NBA. It didn't happen. And so this is all with the frame of reference that he's getting the job after JT3. And if there was ever a college job, this would have to be the one. And then the final sentence here is, and he'll never be seen as the failure there. No matter how this goes, they'll always love Pat in the district, just the way they always love John. Clinging to the past is how we got to this point to begin with.
I think that's all right, by the way. They'll always love Patrick there,
yeah.
which makes this more complicated and awkward than anybody would like.
I completely agree. There is no... I don't want to say there's no animosity, but Ewing is not facing the kind of negative blowback from Georgetown fans and alumni the way that I think a lot of other coaches would. And a lot of that is understandable because the greatest era in the program's history, he is one of the 2 key figures in that, with Big John there. But I didn't listen to this segment, and I can't remember how I heard about it, but I believe Tony Kornheiser, everyone knows who Tony is. He has a daily podcast. At some point recently, he went on his podcast. He said Georgetown needs to fire Patrick Ewing or something there close to it, and basically railed against how irrelevant Georgetown has become and that a change has to happen. Like, you're Georgetown. You cannot simply choose to continue to exist like this. And if there starts to be more voices in that area that really start to write and talk about it, John Feinstein, someone who writes for the Washington Post and is, one of the most prominent writers of men's college basketball across the past 2, 3, 4 decades, then I think you might see. But I also think Patrick Ewing is a prideful, smart, well-respected man in basketball, period. Yeah, he's got a crappy team again, but I don't doubt that he is going through daily self-reflection on the job he's doing, where Georgetown is, and is going to hit an inflection point if he has not privately already. Can I get this team, this school, this program back to where it should be, nationally relevant, in the top 25, if not close to it, getting to the NCAA tournament? If he thinks that he can do that and he wants to go for one more year, Georgetown's going to give him another year. But if he's uncertain about that, for the betterment of his alma mater and for that program, Patrick Ewing needs to consider stepping down and letting someone else come in and take that job. Who that would be, well, that's a fascinating conversation for another time that we'll talk about if and when we even get to that point this season, because you will finally, I would think, have a true cutting of the ties from the Big John era, and where Georgetown can go moving forward would be intriguing. Oh, by the way, if it did open this year in the same year that Maryland was open, that adds even more fascinating intrigue to the job in general. But they're 0-8. They've lost 9 in a row. They got a home game against St. John's on Thursday. Another loss there at home. Then you got Providence. You got a couple with Creighton. I mean, it's not going well right now. And it's a bummer because Georgetown really, it should not be in this. It should not be in this position, man. It should not. This is not. It's one thing to be kind of average and like every other year, like you're trying to get it going, but you're in the tournament, then you're not. Then you're NIT, then you're not. Then you're in the tournament, you're a 7 seed. That's not what this is, man. Georgetown has not been. I know it made that great run in a fanless garden last year, and we opened a podcast and probably spent 17 minutes talking about it because rightfully so, because it was really cool to see Patrick Ewing guide Georgetown back to the NCAA tournament. But this program, since 2016, 15-18, 14-18. Then Ewing gets the job. 15-15 with a 5-13 record in the league. 19-14, some improvement, 9-9. Okay. 2020 happens. They weren't going to the tournament anyway. 2 games under 500, only 5 wins in the league. Last year, they weren't good. They got hot. And this year, 6-13 with an 0-8 record. What are we doing here? Something's got to change soon.
They're 179th at KenPom right now.